Hey, yo, the pizza here.
What the fuck? Oh my god!
So recently I found out that Dragon's Dogma had an anime. Yup, I am as surprised as you are. I had no idea. And so, as someone that's played the games, I instantly had to check it out because, I mean, it's Dragon's Dogma. It's kinda goated, you know? So I had to check it out. So I go to the My Anime list and bam, the score is garbage to say the least. Nah, look, My Anime list scores have never been reliable. Surely it's gotta be half decent at least. I mean, come on, it's Dragon's Dogma. I know the story is good. There's just no way. So I get on the anime and oh. Nah, I mean look, Netflix has had some pretty decent. Oh. Right. Okay, so you probably figured out by now that my anime list score was kinda deserved. But why? Why is it deserved? Is it because of the CGI? Is it just because Netflix? Or like, what's going on here? Well, for once, it's definitely not the CGI. As a matter of fact, the CGI isn't even that bad, if you ask me. It kind of grows on you, and I didn't really mind it that much when I was watching the show, because there are just way bigger problems with this show than the way it looks.
Okay.
The show tries to build this really cruel and gruesome world in a dark fantasy, but unfortunately it just doesn't really work out. It's like you've given a teenager an assignment to write their own dark fantasy, and their own interpretation of it was just forcing tragic events over tragic events. And it just gets edgier and edgier to the point where it just becomes silly, and you start wondering if this is even unironic anymore because it's so disconnected from everything. And the severe lack of character development doesn't really help much with this. When you present empty characters and you put them through some of the most bizarre, tragic scenarios, it suddenly becomes more so funny than sad. Who would have guessed? I mean, it's so bizarre and out of touch that you just can't take it seriously, and so it's just funny. Yeah, I mean, look at this shit.
Ladies and gentlemen,
L plus ratio.
So, as you would imagine, a dark fantasy failing to set a serious dark tone to itself is a project that is doomed to fail. And it was kinda sad to see the desperate measures this show takes just to keep its audience engaged with it, because it's kind of aware of how shit the writing is. For instance, the show features a lot of nudity and even multiple sex scenes. It also has a lot of gory scenes in it, which just comes off as the show trying to appeal as a super serious adult show. Oh, here are some anime boobs. This show is not for kids. Look, that guy just lost his head. This is a big boy show. My brother. Adding anime tits and gore to your show doesn't really make it good. It's just something you can do. It's not really... Yeah, like, you probably should be saving those for your Blu-ray DVD if you ask me. Not to mention the desperate fan service they pulled from the game by featuring a couple of the key bosses in the game in some of their episodes to appeal to the game players, obviously. And I'm not gonna lie, some of them were pretty cool. Obviously, as you would imagine, they chose the cool bosses, and they did spark some nostalgia in me as someone that's played the game. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty nice. I enjoyed watching these boss episodes and what's going on, but it's just not really enough. At the end of the day, it's just a boss. It's a nice little fan service, but it's not really gonna carry the whole show or take out the stinky taste of bad writing out of my mouth. And I still can't treat this dark fantasy as a dark fantasy because it's more so of a comedy, honestly. Now, when it comes to character development, there really isn't much to talk about here. We've got the main character's companion, which is the Pwn if you're familiar with the games, and she's your average, emotionless, no personality robot character that does not express any feelings whatsoever. Besides that, there really isn't anyone that just straight up doesn't die or completely disappear after having like 2 minutes of screen time. They tried to have these two knights reappear in a different episode, and I'm not gonna lie, they almost did something right with them, but then they just did a full circle and went back into shit writing and completely fumbled the bag. And finally, there is the main character, which starts the show with a personality and respectfully so ends it with a completely different one. And trust me when I say, There is no bridge in between that connects both of these. He just kind of becomes a different guy suddenly. They tried to have him be this hopeful hero, good guy at the start, and then by the end of the journey, he just kind of gets black-pilled and become this doomer dude that's blinded by vengeance and what have you after seeing all of the corruption in the world. And don't get me wrong, the concept itself isn't necessarily bad. It's actually pretty interesting if you ask me. But the implementation was just awful. Especially with how short the show was. 7 episodes. That's it. They actually tried to wrap it up in 7 episodes. They even themed the 7 episodes after the 7 deadly sins to have this edgy vibe to it. But as you would imagine, it didn't work. Because 7 episodes is just not really enough to build a story, let alone end one. Now look, I don't really like to keep on dunking on shows when I talk about them. Because, you know, I like to believe that everything has a good side to it, regardless of how bad it can be. But it's just one of those cases where it's just really hard to find anything good that's going on. The animation wasn't really the best, neither was the plot, neither was the pacing, neither the character development. The voice acting was fine, I guess, but that's about it. It's just really hard to look at this show and find something that's actually good going on. And the only conclusion I always end up with was just how much wasted potential there was here. There were so many moments where it almost got me believing that this is it, this is where the show is gonna get good. It didn't get good, it never did. And that's where it dies, it just dies on that hill, it's just wasted potential. And so with that being said, unfortunately, the Dragon's Dogma anime is just not worth anyone's time if you ask me. If you want to experience the Dragon's Dogma world, you probably just play the game, which is a great game, you should definitely try it. Other than that, you're better off just watching an actual good show, like Attack on Titan for instance. The best comedy show that you'll probably ever see in your entire life. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
キスマイアスですわ